Perfect. All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Flow Discourses, a podcast made for the expansion of power, of knowledge, of wisdom for men and everybody out there. Today, I have my guest with me, my personal martial arts brother and warrior monk, Jason Bayot. Welcome, brother.
Us, brother. Honor to be here. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
So
having me.
in today's podcast, we're gonna pretty much go over the warrior mentality and how it can actually help you navigate through your world, not through my world, not through Jason's world, through your own world. So we're gonna be going over that with a little bit. So Jason, if you want to start off, man.
Yeah. I'll start off with the story. It's a true story. Story of my grandfather. The World War II story. So this is in 1945, after 1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. About 8 months after they attacked, they started invading the Philippines. And so for a few years, they were outside Manila, by the way. Manila is capital of the Philippines. So for a few years, there's stories going around of these people pillaging villages, and if you can imagine the movie Apocalypto, the way that I guess you could say the conqueror tribe would go around and do that was going on. So 1945, from this time they start, that's stories every day of that is going around. They're coming. So imagine the fear and just panic in their systems, And finally, the monster shows up, right? The soldiers get there in their small city, and their city was called, forgetting the name, but small city. And they got there, and I'm not sure how they introduced themselves, but I knew after a time it was just bloody. The streets, they're raping the women in the streets, they're killing the children, they're kidnapping, killing the men. They were man, it was bad. They're throwing fucking babies in the air and catching them on bayonets. They're
damn.
They're setting fire to houses. It was pure chaos, just like those scenes in Apocalypse. That's the only movie I've seen with that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's more, but and so my grandfather was in that city. He wasn't in the military, but he was in there. He was caught up in it. And so they're panicking, they're running around, they're gathering most of the men and lining them up while they're raping women, they're kidnapping children, they're doing all kinds of shit. A lot of what's going on today, but it's under wraps. So anyway, they line up the men to a building. If you can imagine in your mind's eye, a 2-story like empty building. And the second story is there's big hole cut on the ground, the floor, and excuse me, and they line the men up going around the stairs. I think the stairs are around the outside, so they got them all going in one by one. And at the very edge of the hole, there's executioner with his sword, and one by one the men are going down, getting their heads cut off. And my grandfather, he found himself in that line. So as it's getting closer and closer, you can imagine the smell in the air, the smell of death all around, the sounds of, there was a pile of bodies on the first floor of, after a few hours of just hacking away, right? So you can imagine sounds from them. Say some of them, they weren't all the way cut off. It was maybe halfway, and there's some moans and There's women and children outside screaming, blood curdling sounds from babies, and so pause that, right? My grandpa is 19 years old. So if you can imagine, he's on his knees, he's got his hand bent down, and the executioner is right there. He's ready. And right before he swings, the other guy holding his head down, he goes, we're friends, or something like that. We're friends. Right? And he shoves his head down. The sword's coming down. As the sword is coming down, right? Slow motion. His knee starts slipping on blood, and there's the rosemary on his neck. So all in that 1 second of a moment, he's going down, the sword's cutting in, the rosemary is breaking from a full penetration, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
And that break is cutting into his neck, so it's about a half-inch cut, right? And he falls down and he joins the rest in the pile of bodies. And he's over there, he's holding his head, not making a sound. And a few hours go by, they stop their killings. They go in the first floor and they're poking at the bodies with the bayonets. They're throwing grenades to make sure everyone's dead. And somehow by miracle,
It's crazy.
yeah, somehow by miracle, he didn't die in that. He ran out to the back and hit on like he hit under a tin roof or something laying on the house, is how he described it to my dad. And so it gets quiet. It's nighttime, it's dark, the soldiers have left. He's still there because he's scared for his life. I don't blame him. He was 19 years old, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they go away, and I'm not sure how far his house was. I knew it was about a mile away. And he's holding his head, and he gets back to the house, and he finds out from his mom his brother was burned alive at the stake. This is in 1945, so they didn't have modern medicine. He goes and he gets fucking kerosene and he pours it so it seals. They were poor. They didn't have any bandages or anything like that. Perhaps a t-shirt or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what happened after that directly, but fast forward, they had 7 kids. They were gonna go to San Fran, but they ended up stopping here in Hawaii. They made it out. They got to America. It was their whole dream. And then here we are now.
Damn, dude. Like,
This whole life, that's a whole different story. But yeah, man, that's my DNA. Record this history.
so in a way, you feel like it's part of your lineage, not just the fact that your grandpa went through that experience, but I mean, he's a warrior. Like he's like someone who actually survived during a time of just chaos and disorder. Like how do you come back for something like that? How do you recover?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
He died when I was 3 years old, so I never got to go over the story with him.
Mm.
It's crazy. As far as I know, he didn't have the vision of, he was gonna meet this woman, my grandma, and have a bunch of kids, and he didn't have any of that in mind. So why he kept pushing through to that ordeal is somewhat of the mystery. But
But the main thing is that he survived,
yeah,
just somehow, some way.
that
And I
might
would
be
think with oh, go ahead.
that might be his
Go
main
ahead.
motive to keep going, is to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To even have that kind of mindset, like what is it that you think it takes? Because in today's world, in today's society, everything feels kind of pampered, you know, like we're here behind closed walls. You know, we have the quote unquote government protecting us and stuff like that. But during times of war or any war, my girlfriend's dad was inside of a war. It's totally different mindset, totally opposite. You know, like anything goes, anything can happen. Throwing up babies, staking them on the bayonets, burning people alive, you know, chopping people's head off. And to come back to a civilized kind of world would require some kind of mentality. You know,
Yeah,
like you just don't forget about that kind of stuff. It's impossible.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's crazy how you say stuff like chopping heads off, throwing babies like, real fast, but those are like life changing experiences, you know. It's fucking crazy. What I see now that keeps us going is just that alone is the will to survive, to be here. Cause
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, after you die, do you really remember having any of this experience, having lived? Was it just black? So it's such a strange concept. You know what happens when you die. I mean, I know we're coming back, but do we really know that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
do we really consciously know that? We feel that, but to have it as like a thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe what keeps going is just we rather be here than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. And it's a common thing to be afraid of death. You know, for everybody in IMC, all my brothers, we're able to be comfortable just with the notion and the idea of death. You know, memento mori, stoicism.
Mhm.
But for the average person, death to them is a scary thought. You know, they don't want to die. They want to live in a powerful way. They want to be inspirational. They want to be influential. They want to be able to navigate through the world and kind
Mhm.
of influence people as they go on. You know,
Mhm.
and with you being a martial artist, it's in your lineage. I don't really know my family history, but even at one point, I did martial arts, and it was other than the physical aspect of it, it was also the mental aspect. So, my brother, for you, when did your journey on the martial arts first began?
It started about 8 years ago when I discovered Raj, the Party Bazaar, and he had some videos out on Panjo, very basic strikes, um, movement, mentality, and I was around 22, going on 23, and I thought it was too late to get into a dojo or just that kind of setting to be training in general. I had a very tight belief that it was I missed the boat, missed the boat. So through doing some of that on my own, I bought a dummy uh, punching bag, but looks like a person. I began after a couple of months. I had more confidence. I was like, "Yeah, I can do this. I can move." So I went to a taekwondo dojang just to sit and watch and see how they do the class. And the first thing I noticed was there's a lot of little kids, younger people in some brown belts, and they're flying around doing crazy kicks. And I'm like, man, dude, they have adult class. And so I did the adult beginner class, but still everyone was younger than me. Super awkward for the first, man, 2, 3, 4 months. You know, very tight hips, and it's a lot of kicks and a lot of stretching. After the 6 month mark, I started to look back at how I used to move and how to move, not now, but then. And there was such an improvement. I was like, man, I'm gonna go all the way. You know? Of just we would only have class twice a week, but I would go back and train every single day. Everything I learned in class, I would just do it on my own. And through that, I got good very fast in the beginning. And then, that's what added to the confidence. So it's learning Arash's mentality in the martial arts, but going to that school. They had very good technique. They had good instruction, but it was very, very soft, very everyone is a winner kind of mentality.
Mm.
So I was doing the both. And that's my journey, my start.
When it comes to the martial arts, a lot of teachers are physically good at what they do and how they do it. But one thing I noticed is that not a lot of them talk about so much about the mindset, or if you do, it's like how you just said, everybody's a winner, you know.
Yeah.
Even for me, when it came to AZD, it was more like and his teachings, it was more of a way to kind of like chisel away all the bullshit, you know, because his philosophy, his teachings, just the whole IMC Nation, it's like a mindset and discipline on steroids, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So you actually get to have a sharper mind and a sharper way of doing things. And I've always believed that no matter what you've been through, there's always something that you could take from it, you know? Like maybe you've done something other than martial arts. Maybe you might think it's a mistake, but the only time it would be a mistake is if you learn nothing, if there's nothing that you could have brought with you from what you were doing.
Yeah.
Drugs, for example, you know? But when it comes to the martial arts, though, what are some like things you could say that you take with you to help you live your life today? Like some principles or some values or some kind of lesson that you learned.
If you fail, I mean, simple. It's if you fail, try again. And just the repetition of all the moves can be translated in business, in relationship. Just that repetition of wanting to improve and applying that to whatever parts of your life. Say this podcast, for example. Say products you want to put out, things you're saying. Say one day you get one like, another day you get 2 likes. It's a bad example, but just that tenacity, that persistence element in that is.
I don't I don't think it's a bad example at all because one thing that people don't realize that the small things do add up to the bigger picture. Like usually we're taught to just envision just the final picture and find out all the steps you have to do in between. But when you really break it down, you start to notice all these little aspects that you have to do. Like this
Yeah.
podcast is one thing, and like just to even get it started is another thing. Small things, but it'll eventually lead to the bigger picture of things.
Leads
And
to
one thing I can no, go ahead.
no, so I was saying it leads to like programs, lead to just yeah.
Programs, um, spreading knowledge, communicating, and even a way practicing the way you present your character, practicing the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
Is there any other principles that you could go over?
Um, that's the biggest one. The discipline, self-control. Um, having someone yell at you, pushing through 1 hour of very, very intense training, very little water, maybe no breaks, and doing that over and over and over. You begin to develop a certain type of self-talk, say when you're
Mm-hmm.
by yourself and you're practicing not even martial arts, you're practicing a guitar or you're writing or typing or anything, that the inner voice you can develop of try again, when I'm walking around or doing something in my head, I'm saying those things. You stand up straight, just the things you learn along the way. The first thing you learn in martial arts is attention. You stand up straight, you're focused on what the sensei is saying, hands to the side, just a constant drill. It falls into that first principle of what I was talking about. Not even principle, but just habit of trying again. Just the repetition is honestly, I can go on different ways, but that repetition seems to be the that background foundation to these qualities we admire much.
It's almost as if you're like sharpening a tool. If you're trying
Yeah,
to learn how to fight, the only way you're gonna learn is through reputation, is through repetition.
yeah,
The constant practice, the constant applying of what it is that the teacher is teaching you. But
100%.
even outside of martial arts, when you mention attention, even even being able to do the repetition of being more aware of your environment around you, not just when you're at home, but when you go outside. You have So when you were telling the story of your grandpa, you have one environment where it's just total chaos. You
Yeah,
know, soldiers are going around killing, just doing whatever they do in war. And then on the flip side, you have a different environment, which is just society where you live, the
yeah,
the culture that you live in, where you grew up. All these environments have different elements about them, but to at least be aware or to have your attention on them,
yeah,
I would feel like you're already one step farther than the average man, you know? Because where are people's attention most of the time? On their phones.
mm,
On their phones. Y'all have couples sitting down across from each other getting lunch, and where are they looking at? Their phones.
you even see texting.
Yeah.
You even see people crossing the street, staring down their phones. You're over there to
hmm
stop, man.
hmm And I know this isn't just a Hawaii thing.
Yeah, there's so much trust in the guy behind the 2-ton fucking weapon over there staring. One time I saw a guy staring down his phone crossing the street in a busy intersection, and he's got his daughter holding his fucking hand. I'm like, oh, it's incredible. One thing that you might notice is even though I'm in a parked car, I'm constantly glancing at, I'm not on coke, I'm not a anxious kind of person. It's just having that awareness, like, someone could come, my window's cracked open, somebody could come over here and grab me or grab something from the car, and the chances of that happening are very little, but the beingness of being ready for some kind of attack
hmm
kind of puts you're a little more calmer than people. You have a different kind of confidence when you're ready like that. You're prepared, right? We look at
hmm
that. Scientists put a label of paranoia. I think a little paranoia is healthy that way. To stay on your edge.
hmm
This society is so heavily inundated with comfort and sugar and your cozy bed and your TV that drowns your mind out. All these things, your streaming services, your I don't know, just that kind of stuff. We're dulled down as people.
hmm
We we've lost some of that that focus, that sharpness, that the readiness, that preparedness. Say for example, I go to my girlfriend, go with my girlfriend to like a restaurant or something. I'll want to sit on the side that I can see everything. My back's to the wall for that reason. Maybe someone's carrying a tray wrong. They're gonna whack someone's head. Who knows? It's that kind of thing. It's I don't talk like that to people. I'm not saying watch out, watch this. That was my dad, for example. He helped me become like this. But I'm more calm because those things are in my mind. And
Mhm.
I'm aware in that way. We got 800,000 children. That number is probably much higher being kidnapped every year. We got and just bad shit happening. This murders every day. And it's not so much about being paranoid about these things, but just understanding that this isn't this isn't a safe world.
And just
It's,
being more aware that that kind of stuff exists, you know,
yeah,
where people are too worried about their shows on Netflix, we're over here recognizing what this world is actually about, like a
yeah,
prison planet almost, if you will.
100%.
It does. And going back to what you were saying, how you have the window rolled down, you're just looking everywhere every so often. See, what I like to think about is being ready for the unexpected, because a lot of people can be ready for the expected. You know how they want to go about their day, who they're gonna hang out with, what they're gonna do. But it's the minute that something unexpected happens is when people panic. You know,
Yeah,
that's when they're tossed into confusion and don't know what to do. But for us as martial artists, we kind of learn to not hesitate, especially when the unexpected happens. Like we could be expecting to spar someone or fight someone in the street, but anything unexpected that can happen will flinch less compared to the other person. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
yes, very accurate. I think stoicism a lot for that. That Amor Fati and the whole belief system of accepting what comes. That's the number one thing that a warrior or a martial artist or just a warrior has to face is acceptance. People do die every day. I have so many family members that pass already. Another thing is that I have so many family members that got the vaccine, right? And we can't say for sure that it's gonna kill, right? Because there's so much misinformation on that. Even though we do have our opinion, but that can sound biased to the other party. So it's oh shit, my battery's 10%. Quite a situation to work in to to I mean, there's certain things. I'm staying with my parents right now because I'm moving to Arizona in about a month. So my house is, somewhere else. It's sold or it's being rented out as Airbnb. But I'm with my parents, so there's a lot I can't talk about the vaccine, and they took it, so I'm not gonna say what I know about it. They're telling me to get it because the numbers are going up on the main line, and I can't say like that's all BS. It's the fake news, and I mean I can't say that, but then that causes another conversation. And so what was the point? The point is acceptance. Knowing that there is a divide going on right now, seeing that people are dying, seeing that we're mortal too, right? We both just turned 30. Our day will come as time goes by, second by second, we're closer to the grave, if you will, right? That sounds depressing for a lot of people, but it's 100% true.
Mhm.
Uh, just it takes a certain strength to really accept. all these things are going on, to really swallow that pill.
Was
And
it
that,
was it the red pill? The red pill that
that
Morpheus offered Neo?
yeah, the truth pill, just I think a lot of people haven't accepted it yet, that is coming, not just death, but things we don't want.
Mm-hmm. Things we don't even need, to be honest. Like this
Yeah.
fucking mask mandate.
Yeah. um,
So I do understand that there's different states out there. I believe it's Texas and Arizona, where this kind of restriction, like the whole mask and the mandated vaccines, are lifted.
yeah.
But for people like us, we're in this state where it's not so pleasant, you know. But regardless where anyone finds themselves, I feel like they can always develop, or even in regards to what they do, I feel like that they can always develop a way to kind of bring out that warrior spirit or that warrior mentality. And that doesn't mean like, going around with your sword, killing and slicing or whatever, but it's a state of mind. It's a way of living. So for someone new to this kind of idea or philosophy, where or how do you think they should start? How should they start developing their warrior mentality to take on the world and not be so afraid and flinch less, things like that.
tap back in tap back in with your ancestry, your DNA, what men used to be. They still are, just it's been masks. That's um back in the days, all men would be hunting. They would go out early in the morning and they would just hunt all day, come back. We don't live in those times. We have we have houses and all this technology, and we're different now. Our hunting is going to the supermarket, right? Getting some steak with our money. Sorry, but to tap back into to that ancient warrior like thing we really are. I do have a few ways. One way is a very quick way to get back in it, would be to take a walk in the morning, early in the morning, and take a knife with you. Leave your phone at home, all your electronics, AirPods, whatever, and just you and nature and the knife. And to walk around in a way where someone could jump out from the bushes, or they could, come around the corner. They could be behind you. Some kind of danger, an animal, some kind of thing in the environment that you got to watch out for at any given moment. Right away, you're gonna walk a little differently by having all that imagery, or that having that beingness. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
walk in. You're gonna breathe differently. It's gonna move a little different, and that's it right there. To get a fast taste of that, and to do that for about half an hour, maybe an hour. Maybe you don't need a knife. Honestly, it's that beingness. It's that fight, and obviously, training martial arts and being more physical. But that's gonna be a very fast way to uh reawaken that ancient, that old reptilian brain kind of state. Also the beast process level one, of course. Both in combination does it very fast.
Mm-hmm. So is that like a way of meditation for you? The whole walking early in the morning with the knife in your pocket and the phone at home?
Sound like you're crazy, man. No, I don't do that all the time, But yeah, that's definitely meditation. I do meditate sitting still, but I'll do the walk more.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not crazy at all because you're actually develop. To me, it sounds like you're developing your awareness of things when it's not
Mm,
so much on the phone and it's more external towards the environment.
yeah.
Now, one thing that I can say for men out there to bring back that warrior mentality, you have to learn to stop letting other people decide your choice for you. Like there will come a point where all you're gonna want to do is just get their opinion. And even then, you're not gonna want everybody's opinions. You don't need everybody's opinions on what you want to do. And yes, that does include your parents, because as we both know, me and Jason, one of the biggest chains ever to break is the chains of your family. Choose anything you want to do, go ahead and do it. They're always gonna have something to say. Always gonna have something to say. But yeah, you have to make sure that your choices are coming from you and just you alone. For two things. One is because you're actually taking control and making the choices. And two, you're practicing responsibility. Because if someone makes a choice for you and you do it, you're probably gonna blame them on why it didn't work or how it could have been better and this and that. No, motherfucker, you make the choice. You take the responsibility and you become more of a man. What are your thoughts on that, Jason?
Yeah, going back to it's true, man. So true. Going back to the parents thing, even if you're doing something really good, it's there's still some bad in it of their worry. Or I'll give an example. I'm moving after 30 years of being on this island, right?
This
Gonna
rock.
go there. Yeah, this rock. This yeah, all in chain. No, I'm kidding. Hawaii is beautiful. It's just after you've been here for some time, it starts suffocating you. That sounds worse, but it's true. It starts holding you back in ways. But anyway, yeah, after so I'm moving there, gonna be doing big things, want to do this and that, all these positive things I'm telling my dad, and what's gonna happen in the future, and all he has to say is you got to be careful. You don't know anybody up there. We don't have family over there, and I'm thinking, man, I don't want to talk about this anymore. You know. So really, it comes down to just and my mom was saying similar things. She believes in me. She wished me the best, but then there's that worry and that concern that she'll place on me, or parents will place on us, even though like we're showing so much confidence what we're doing. They'll have that drawback, and it's like, well, you're you're just projecting onto me what you think of yourself if you were doing these things. So it's a mind game, man. So
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're saying comes down to the man and himself in his journey, his goal. What he's doing.
That is so true. And it's almost as if like they're reflecting themselves on your situation, even though that's not like their situation at all,
Yeah,
kind of thing, huh?
a lot of people are.
Hmm. Well, I am hitting the 40-minute mark. It's around 38 minutes. And I do want to talk some more, but before we go on, is there any questions out there that anyone has? Feel free to unmute and ask, either me or Jason. I'll give it about maybe like 10 seconds. If not, then we'll just continue.
I have a question for you. what would you recommend to awaken more that the warrior martial arts spirit in you?
Well, for one, I know that it'll take adapting to change, and that doesn't mean what everyone says by going with the flow. You don't go with the flow, because when you do, you're already not making your own decisions. No, go with the change. Be more aware of your surroundings, on what's actually happening around you, and then adapting to it. However, there's a difference between adapting to your environment, which can only get you so far, and there's also a difference when you're having the environment adapt to you. In a way, when you have the environment adapt to you, you can say it's control. Now, control already has a negative connotation. Oh, you're trying to control my life. You're trying to control my thoughts. This and that. No, motherfucker, control. Like, control your environment. If you're able to influence someone else to change their ways or to change their habit or something, just by you being around their environment, that to me is at least one level of control that you have. It's nothing bad, especially if you're getting someone out of a bad situation, you know. And society likes to play that game of control, saying that control is bad, control is negative, yet they're the very ones trying to control us every single day.
That's well said.
You know?
That's right.
So definitely be more aware of your surroundings. Another thing I can say is you have to create your own kind of routine. Now, for me and Jason, we learned the beast process. And the beast process is basically AZD's routine, or his philosophy of navigating through life. It's not just a routine, but it's named the beast routine. It's more than that. And any IMC brother who's watching this right now or on YouTube later, I guarantee would agree with me 100%. Every warrior has their rituals. Every warrior has their codes. Every warrior has a certain mentality. You have to give up certain things. You have to acquire new ideas, new concepts, new way of doing things,
Reminds me
So
of yeah.
That's what I'd have to say about that.
That reminds me a lot of the concept of feng shui, right? Putting objects in a certain order so the energy in the room flows better, right? So we have certain rituals that we'll do in the morning or throughout the day or at night to begin to access and direct different states of mind to it to have that beingness that we want to be, to adapt to change in those ways. Words are escaping me, but yeah.
Just that ritual, your ritual, where you go out and you walk with a knife and stuff like that, just that alone brings about a different state of mind.
It does.
Because people in the morning are either still sleeping or who knows what the fuck they're doing. But to actually to even just get up out of bed, put on your clothes, and actually leave the house can be a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They'll already start developing this state of mind of comfort, of it's okay, you can continue to rest,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But just taking that step forward into the unknown, into you don't know what's about to happen, but you're going to be ready for it, the unexpected.
Yeah. So sad.
With all that being said, brother, is there any last words that you want to say? Because after that, I'll have to cut off this podcast for today.
I don't, man. If I could leave the audience with one thing, would be to be strong. Strength is a virtue. No matter what's going on, just tell yourself I'm strong. even in the good times.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've carried for many years, even before discovering I'm seeing. Yeah, meeting you, everything I've studied, I was always telling myself to be strong. That's what it.
And that's one of the principles you would use to navigate, correct?
Mm.
Through life.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Brother, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And this will definitely not be the first.
Yeah.
Definitely, it won't be the last. Oh, technically, it is the first. It definitely won't be the last.
Fuck yeah. Be the
All right,
best.
guys. Yeah, be the best. Fuck the rest. See you guys next week. Os.
Thanks for having me.